guys, welcome back to Diamond Delight Edibles. If this is the first time you're joining, my name is Liz, and to the regular subscribers, guys, thank you so much and welcome back. I truly appreciate your support and all your awesome comments and everything. It really does mean the world to me. So today I'm going to show you guys how to make sponge toffee. So since I actually learned how to make Canna sugar and the Canna syrup, it's opened up the entire candy world to us. So it was I'm so thrilled that I figured that out, or not figured it out, found it out and did those recipes. So now I can do things like sponge toffee. I did try out doing it with butter, so if you guys are going to ask me if this will work with butter, no, it does not. It was about one of my biggest epic fails. So it was all going good. I put the syrup was cooking, got it to 300, all was great, put the butter, yay, put in the baking soda, and it bubbled. I thought, oh, it's all doing what it's supposed to, and then it just kept bubbling and bubbling and bubbling and getting darker and darker. And long story short, I ended up with a pot of absolutely black solid sugar and Canna butter. So it was not pretty, but with the Canna sugar and syrup, we're able to now make things. So as always, I'm going to jump right into those ingredients, what we need to get started, and then get everything together for you. Alright, so for our Canna sponge toffee, you're going to want a half a cup of Canna sugar, a half a cup of white sugar, and yes, if you would like to use a full cup of Canna sugar, go right ahead. Totally up to you. I like to always do a split for flavor so that you always have a nice flavor candy or any product that you're making. So with that, I'm also going to use a quarter cup of Canna syrup and a quarter cup of light corn syrup, a half a cup of water, 1.5 tablespoons of baking soda. And if you like chocolate, you can get your favorite chocolate bar, just milk chocolate, or sorry, don't mind the kitty cat. So if you want to add chocolate to your sponge toffee, just get whatever your favorite chocolate is for melting, and you can just drizzle on it or dunk it in if you'd like. So I'm just going to get into the equipment quickly here, and then we'll get all this yumminess put together. Oh, sorry, I do apologize. We also need a teaspoon of vanilla. All right, so what you're going to need is a medium-sized saucepan, because you want to make sure that you've got extra room, because when we add in the baking soda, it's going to bubble up a lot, so you want to make sure you have enough room in the pot for that to handle. And you're going to want a second pot larger with ice cold water. We're using that to stop the cooking process once we hit our temperature of 300 degrees. A pair of tongs if you want to do dipping of chocolate, your candy thermometer, a spatula, and a parched lined baking dish. Glass, oven safe glass is better. I don't have any right now, which is why I'm using aluminum. To our pot, we are going to add our sugar, our Canna sugar, our white sugar, our Canna syrup. I made my Canna syrup. It turned out a little stiffer than it should have. Gonna add in our light corn syrup and our half a cup of water. Our baking soda and vanilla we leave till we're done cooking. Alright, so we are going to combine all our sugar and water until it is all combined and our sugar is beginning to dissolve. And then we are going to turn our heat on to medium-high to get this boiling. Once it starts boiling, we're going to drop our heat down to medium until we reach 300 degrees Fahrenheit. So now that my sugar and water and everything there is combined, I am going to turn the heat on to medium-high. And just keep stirring this until it begins to boil. Once the syrup begins to boil, you're not going to stir it anymore. We're going to add the candy thermometer and just wait until we hit 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Once we hit that temperature, we are going to submerge the bottom of our pot into our ice cold pot of water to stop our cooking process. And then I'll continue on with the directions from there. But don't worry, I'll still go over them as we go along. I'm not just going to leave you hanging. Sorry, I don't know why I always forget this. You want to get a pastry brush and a cup of hot water there just to wash down any of the sugar crystals that are on the side. Sorry about that. For some reason, as I said, this is one thing I always forget on the equipment. Well, I know why I forget, but I have too many things with Canna sugar. Let's put it that way. So just wash down any excess sugar crystals around the side of your pot, and that you're good. And we're just going to continue to stir that until it begins to boil. Now, if you because you're working with the Canna sugar and the syrup, all of the alcohol may not necessarily have been dehydrated off of your sugar. So I do recommend to keep a window or a fan going for ventilation for safety purposes. And I don't really recommend doing this over a gas stove. If you do, use a really, really good fan. So you can see my syrup is starting to bubble now. So I am going to stop stirring. The only thing that I will continue to do is if any sugar crystals or syrup is on the sides of the pot, I'm going to make sure to wipe those down. But other than that, I'm not going to be stirring it anymore. The reason being it will crystallize your sugar. We're going to add in our candy thermometer, and we're going to, like I said, cook this to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to turn the heat down to just above medium. So if you've got numbers going from, anyway, just above medium. I'm not going to get into whatever numbers or things are on your stove. And as I said, we're just going to let that bubble. Now, to get to 300 degrees, you will notice your candy thermometer will get up to about 220, 23 degrees, and it'll sit there for quite a while. That's kind of where it's the main water is cooking off. After that, the temperature starts to rise fairly quickly. So doing a syrup to 300 probably takes about 15, 17, maybe 20 minutes or so. So you do have a few minutes to, if you need a washroom break or something at the beginning, go ahead. Once it passes that 223 mark, you really don't want to leave the kitchen. You want to keep a close eye on your candy thermometer. Now also, because there's some impurities from your sugar in that, if it starts to bubble too high and you're a little concerned it's going to go over, just pick it up off the heat. It'll immediately start to go down. Just lower your temperature a little bit and you'll be good. Put it back down and you're good. Now here's a little tip that you can do to line your pans with parchment paper, because parchment paper can be a real pain sometimes. Is you take it, cut a piece that's just a little bit bigger than the size of your pan, and then you're going to cut in the corners. You're going to cut down it down towards the center of them on each of the corners. Then it easily then fits into your pan with the corners. And then you can use just a little bit of the syrup to glue those edges down. But be very careful, it's very hot. And there you go, you just tack it down with a little bit of hot syrup and it'll keep them in place and you're good to go. Makes it a lot easier for you. Alright, so I'm almost at our 300 degree mark. 300 at 300, remove your candy thermometer, put it in the bottom of the pot into your cold water until it stops bubbling. And get rid of your pot of cold water. It's stuck. You know, just one time something to go smooth. That'd be awesome. You can turn off your heat, and now we are going to get your spatula ready, and now be very, very careful because this is going to bubble up. So you're going to add in your vanilla and your baking soda. We're going to mix that in. You want to thoroughly mix it because that syrup will have solidified a little bit on the bottom. Once you are all stirred, everything feels good. You don't want to do it too long. You're going to pour it into your pan. And just for our regular sponge toffee, you can just use a straight edge knife to break it up into pieces. And you can break it up however big or small you want those to be. And there you have it, your Canna sponge toffee. Now, if you want to have these, you can dunk these into chocolate as well. You can just do half if you like. So you just, and then you can also dunk your pieces here into your chocolate as well if you like. You can just have to do it if you like that. Strip off the excess and then put it on your wire rack to dry. Or if you just like your plain sponge toffee, then there you go. You've got that as well. And that's everything. So for your chocolate, you can just let it set. You can put it in the fridge for about 10 minutes or so to let it cool. You're better off to just let it dry naturally. It'll take a few hours. Not the best idea to put sugar into the refrigerator because it gets moisture and it can make your sugar dense. But if you do it quick enough, you should be okay. But up to you. Anyway, I'm going to be back to do my goodbyes, and I hope you enjoyed this. Hi guys, well thank you so much for watching. Now I recommend for storing your sponge toffee in cello bags or cello wrap. It doesn't retain moisture like a Ziploc baggie does. If you don't have cello, then an airtight container, a glass airtight container would probably be your best. Alright, so that is everything for you. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. As always, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and you have an awesome rest of your day.